Hi guys, welcome back to part 3 of having kidney surgery. You will be seeing me at my absolute lowest in this vlog, so be prepared. If you haven't already seen part 1 and 2, then make sure to go back on my channel, but let's begin. So this was my mum's POV, so she was actually getting down from her hotel, because I'm pretty sure I was actually the first person on the list. So I was on the morning list. At this point, I was speaking to the anaesthetist, meeting the team, and they were so lovely. My mum arrived and it was all systems go. To put on my gown, my stockings, and the sexiest paper pants. I know you cannot buy these on eBay. My mum then had to really quickly put my hair in braids because as an extension girly, and also the fact that I was being tipped upside down in surgery, I needed my hair out of the way. And before I knew it, I was quite literally being pushed to my CT scan. So right before my surgery, I went from the CT scan to the actual theatre because they wanted to do a last scan of my kidney stones to see the size. There I was going to the CT. That was literally done in 3 minutes, and I was straight to theatre. And there's my mum walking into like the actual unit, the stone unit, and then I was pushed into the recovery, which I then got transferred onto this bed, which I said goodbye to my mum. I was straight into anaesthetic, which is a story for another video, but my mum managed to see my CT scan, so this was my kidney stones in my kidney. It looked like a piece of bone. These are what they looked like broken up, and this was just a small amount of them. This wasn't even half of them, so this was when they were broken into little pieces. The reason for them being black is because they've been left inside of me for so long, 3 years, so no wonder they were black. This was when I spent 3 hours in recovery. It was unbearable, the pain. They really struggled to control it. Many amounts of fentanyl, and they also controlled a bit of bleeding as well. My mum ended up being by my side in recovery for the whole 3 hours. And this was my kidney drain. You can't really see it, but this was Satan himself. I am not even joking. When they did eventually stabilise me, I was then able to go back to the ward. Look at my face. It is so puffy. I did not expect it to look this bad. It was around 5 p.m. at this point, and my mum had basically been hand feeding me Vimto jelly. I had a spoonful of Treadies, and that was literally it for the night. I ended up with 3 cannulas, so this is 2 in my arm and 1 in my leg, and then this was the drain. So my drain was really draining, but my god, the pain just gets so much worse, especially if I did try and move, which I really couldn't. But my god, it really was so painful. This was the point where my cannula packed in. This cannula actually had anaesthetic still in it, so if anybody was to flush it, I would have been knocked out. And this was the point where my pain just got worse and worse. I didn't sleep. I was just uncomfortable all night, and as you can see, my drain really starts to fill up. My mum popped me in my big oversized baggy t-shirt because I didn't want to wear my gown just because it kept falling. I don't think the nurses would have appreciated nip slips. I didn't sleep all night. I felt like death. I woke up in the morning. I think this was the 3rd day of being here, and this was the worst possible day. I was in the most pain. This was mainly because they weren't keeping on top of my pain medication, so I was due it, but I was left for quite a while. I spent the day sounding like a pregnant woman, breathing through contractions. That's all I can describe it as. As someone who can deal with bone pain and has been dealing with bone pain for over 10 years, this was a completely different experience. Now, as you can see on my arm, I still have my pain patch on. This pain patch is what I use for my background pain, basically my chronic pain, and the fact that this wasn't even enough to help alongside with the painkillers that I was being given. That just shows how bad the level of pain was. This was the only day that I found hard because I was left without painkillers and really struggling. I feel like I spent the whole day having a breakdown. It was a tough day. As you can see, I already have my pain patch on, which is actually just for my chronic pain. This is when I sent my mum this video. Now, I was basically saying it's so annoying because the doctor came in and turned around and said the only painkillers they could give me was the painkillers that I take at home for my chronic pain. It's like telling someone just to take paracetamol after having kidney surgery. It just didn't make sense to me. They weren't helping me. It was a frustrating kind of day. My mum basically got this gorgeous video of me crying. My mum actually at this point was meant to be going back to the hotel to have her tea. She came back to the ward and actually brought back fish and chips for us to share. Honestly, she's an actual angel. Even though I couldn't eat a lot, this was the best fish and chips I've ever had. Let me tell you, I enjoyed this so much. It made me a happy girl. Finally, this leads me on to my final day. I honestly was determined to go home. I was genuinely forcing myself to get up, go to the toilet, try and be lifted just so I could go home. And that morning I texted my mum after I met with my surgeon and said that I was able to go home. Before I could get the all clear, I had to go and get a CT scan just to make sure there was no stones or left in my kidney. But before that, it was time to remove my drain. The actual drain bag was removed 24 hours before. This was the part they actually removed the tube inside of me. In my head, I thought was going to be a piece of cake. I thought having this drain out was going to be like having an epidural out. Painless, pretty much like not a big deal. Let me tell you, I don't think I will ever get over the pain of this. It has pretty much traumatized me. Having a tube being pulled from within your kidney, like within inside your body, it's a pain that I could never describe. My nurse actually said that grown men cry because of how painful it is. When she was pulling the tube out, the most unbearable pain, I actually screamed the ward down. Like, I have never screamed, and I would never scream in pain. It's not in my nature, but I couldn't help it. I remember just blacking out. I honestly feel sorry for my mum having to witness that, because that is some kind of pain to watch someone go through, because it's not like I had any gas in it or anything. So about 20 minutes after, I was trembling. I think my body was just in a lot of shock, trying to process what had just happened. You are supposed to have a light sedative and painkillers when having this removed. I was given a lovely hospital goodie bag full of dressings.
Pour it in, and then you can give her a little clean with that. You probably won't need them, but I like to just in case.
Yeah, thank you.
And then some smaller dressings, because as the holes start to close, you don't need like what I have on. So it's just open and then open again.
It's
and
one
then
of them.
you know the thing. Yeah.
You've done them with my line.
This part does have a little padding in it, so then it's not completely see-through.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so if it does like bleed or anything, it's normal that if you stretch or something, they could bleed, but it should close.
And then literally we were all ready to go home. I've never been so happy to go home. I had my cannulas removed and off we went to the train station. A big shout out to Avanti for looking after us on the journey back. And we arrived home greeted by my dad. And that concludes the last of my hospital surgery vlogs. I actually can't believe it. Thank you guys for coming along on this journey with me. And I also want to say a massive thank you to all of you who have commented. All of your support has been incredible. I appreciate you guys a lot, so thank you. If you haven't already, it would mean a lot if you could subscribe. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys in the next one.